Okay, so I can see from my placeholder inside of Dreamweaver that I need a 441 by 404 image. I can go over to Photoshop and I'm going to open the cupcake image that I downloaded. And if I go underneath the image menu to look at the image size, I can see it's quite a bit bigger than what I need. It's 2500 by 14 pixels. That's about 35 inches wide by 20 inches high at screen resolution. And screen resolution, by the way, 72 pixels per inch, is what we're going to want to use for the internet. This is really typical for a photo taken with a digital camera because they're taking it at a very high megapixel rate. You may need that for something that's print-based, but for the web, 72 pixels per inch is all you really need. So we need to make some modifications to this image to get it to the 404 by 441 size. If I make the width of this 441 pixels, you'll notice that the height is not big enough. So aspect ratio wise, the image needs to be proportionate. We're not going to make it. It's going to be much smaller than the 404 that I wanted. So instead I'm going to type in 404 for the height, and that'll leave us with an image that's 709 pixels wide. That gives us the option to crop this as we see fit. I'm going to click OK. And then we're going to have to crop this image to bring it to the right width. Now, it's integral that you refer to the info palette, and the info palette, at least mine by default, wants to display in inches. So you're going to have to click here first to change it over to pixels. And now I can see the size of my image is currently 404 by 709. I'm going to crop towards the cupcake that I really want to focus on, and that's the one in the middle. And if I look at the info palette, I can see that it's 566, so I need to trim it down to that 441. If you're a little off, I wouldn't be too concerned because a few pixels as far as stretching it isn't going to make a significant difference in the sizing of it. Okay, so there we go. Got the image about the right size with the cropping tool, and now I'm going to hit return to crop. Now this should yield me an image that's pretty darn close. If I go down to the image size, I can see that it's 439 by 404. We can actually go ahead and alter it here if you want to be more picky about it. And they have 441 by 406. And then if we want to go back one last time to image size and get it right on, I can uncheck constraint proportions to get it to the 404 by 441 pixel. Last thing we want to do is save this in an internet-friendly format out of Photoshop. And you could go underneath File to Save As and pick one of the internet-friendly formats. But Photoshop also includes a Save for Web feature. If you click on Save for Web, what's going to happen is it'll show you options attached to your image. So you can see here what this would look like as a GIF image. GIF is typically better for sort of flat graphic, maybe a logo or something that is generated sometimes in a program like Illustrator. So I want to look at some of the other options to see. We could see the original image if I click on 4 up in the upper left. We could see the GIF image here at 119K. And it will also give you a default download time based on a modem speed that you give it. 56.6 is something that I like to check, even though most people are using some kind of broadband connection. If you did want to change it, you could click here to pick a different download speed. But I'm going to leave it at 56 as a sort of a worst case scenario. And then you have some other blanks that you can sort of click, these other panes of the window, so to speak. I'm going to check this one as a JPEG image. And I'll make this one a PNG or PNG 8 image. And we'll kind of compare all these images to see which gives us the best quality for the smallest file size. After all, that's the name of the game when we're dealing with the web. So I'm looking at the PNG 8 here, and it's 89K, which is a pretty good sized file. The GIF is 119K, and the JPEG is only 57.48. In fact, JPEGs are better for photographic images, and GIF tends to be for flat images or logos, as does PNG typically. PNG can go either way, but its real strength is in the transparency of the flat images. So I'm going to pick the JPEG image, and I can change the compression rate here. So I can change the compression rate from high to potentially medium or low to see which level of image is satisfactory for what I want to do. It's going to take your professional judgment. If something's a background image, it may be less integral to have fine detail than if something is a product shot. So I'm looking at this and I'm seeing it's a little too pixelated and blurry at the low level. Then I go up to medium. And I think medium for us is serviceable. If I wanted it to have a higher quality, I could go to high. But a savings of about 30K is pretty good to me. So I'm going to select this medium level on my cupcakes. I'm going to click the cupcake image that I want to save. I'm going to click on the Save button, and I'm going to tell it where to save. Now I want to save it into my Assets folder that's inside my root, and I'm going to call it Cupcake. It's set to image only at this point because all I want is the optimized image. I'll click Save. We can exit out of Photoshop. I'm going to minimize. We can come back here to Dreamweaver with our placeholder, and then we can click on the Source folder, go into the Assets, and find our Cupcake, extra L there, and place it. Now this should give us a fairly efficient image that's sized correctly for Dreamweaver.